So my name's David Brown. I work for If You Care Share Foundation, which is a suicide prevention, intervention and support charity based in the northeast of England, but we work throughout the country delivering emotional and mental health workshops to young people. My role up until about 3 weeks ago was looking at how we develop and expand all of our work relating to emotional and mental health. To give you a bit of background, the charity was started by a family after they lost their oldest son to suicide in 2005. Daniel was 19, he had a great job, he had good friends and an amazing loving family, and unfortunately for him, life just got a bit too difficult and he took the ultimate decision to end his own life. The family were left with one question: why? Why would somebody like Daniel with the support around him choose to take his own life? Since then, they've turned that tragedy, the tragic loss of Daniel, into an amazing story. They've supported over 750 individuals by suicide and also worked with 15,000 young people in schools and football clubs. So just 2 days ago, I was at Wigan Athletic and Preston North End working with their academy scholars, talking about how we feel and how we deal with our emotions on a day-to-day basis. The purpose of this talk is to think about well-being, is to think about our emotional and mental health. I don't know if you know, but suicide is the biggest killer of men and women in this country under the age of 35. That's not road traffic accidents, that's not cancer, it's not heart disease, it's not drug or alcohol issues, it's suicide. It's people taking their own lives. It's for whatever reason life just got a bit too difficult and they made a really difficult decision. The point about emotional and mental health well-being is there's things we can do to improve our well-being. There's things we can do to look after ourselves. Just like we understand the point of 5 a day or 30 minutes of exercise to improve our physical well-being, there's stuff we can do to look after what's going on in our heads, how we feel, how we build our relationships with one another. It's a really important question that we need to consider, is how do we look after ourselves and how do we look out for other people? Of all the young people we've worked with, more than 50% say they're more likely to talk to a friend than anybody else. But when are we ready to have those conversations? How do we have those conversations when somebody's struggling? Are we able to find somebody to listen to us? And then we think about our faith and the impact that has on us as well. Actually, can that be a source of strength, or can that be a bit of a hindrance? Can that be a bit of a struggle for us when coming to terms with the fact we might suffer with depression or anxiety? That life might be going a bit more difficult than we'd ever expected it to go for us. I believe that our faith can be an encouragement. If we look at who the biggest at-risk groups are for suicide, it's men between 35 and 55. We look at our churches, which group are missing from our churches? Men aged 35 to 55. So there's something we can do. There's something the church has to offer. I believe what we need is a change in the culture. We've seen that over the last 40 years in this country. Suicide was a crime until 1971. People with mental health issues were put into institutions. They were imprisoned because of something they couldn't help. But we don't live in a society where that is the case anymore. But actually, are we able to talk about it? I have no doubt that if we saw somebody keel over on the side of a street with a heart attack, we would run over to help. We'd probably try CPR if we'd done first aid training before. Then we'd call an ambulance to ensure we had the medical professionals we needed to assist. Actually, with mental health, it's the same. Things like suicide, depression, anxiety can be life-threatening, they can be deadly, but there's things we can do to prevent them. There's conversations we can have. It's actually shown in statistics and research, and I don't like to go into them too much because they're really boring, but actually if we look at statistics, if somebody is able to say that they're struggling and they're thinking about taking their own life, then that actually is likely to prevent them from doing it. If somebody is able to express that. 75% of those who do take their own lives in this country aren't in touch with mental health services. We're not talking about people with a diagnosis. We're not talking about people on medication. We're not talking about people who see a psychiatrist or a counsellor. We're talking about our friends, our family, the people we went to school with, the people we go to university with, our colleagues, our neighbours, the people we meet on the bus, the people we sit alongside in church on a Sunday. This is happening all over the world right now. This is a major public health problem in this country, but throughout the world. And there's things we can do, and there's things that I believe that God can do in our lives to change that. We know that there is a hope and a love that comes from God that can come from nobody else. We know that even in the darkest of situations, God will be with us. And actually, if that's a gospel that we believe in, if that's the word of God that we survive on, then let us encourage other people. Let's spread that good news to other people so that when people are helpless or hopeless, they have access to the support they need. They know that somebody is there to care for them. They know that somebody is wanting to listen to their story. And you know what? God understands what we're going through. I'm not saying that prayer is always the answer, and actually that can be as unhelpful as a GP telling you it's a medical problem that will only be solved by pills. But actually prayer can be part of the solution. Having the support of friends and family and a church family or a faith community can be massive in helping us to overcome life's hurdles. But it's really important. Life can be tough. Life can be difficult sometimes. We can't stop that from happening. Believe me, I know that all too well. But what we can do is find a way to share that with other people, to reach out when we need help. And maybe you might be the person that reaches out that hand to grab somebody as they're falling. You might be the person that can change somebody's life for the better. Never underestimate the power of a conversation. It's okay not to feel okay, but there's always a way, there's always something we can do